have heard about the Trayvon Martin killing.
And what was your initial reaction when you heard about it?
Disgust. Disgust, and just, I was so angry, you know, it's just one more time when, you know, someone's life is taken because of like prejudices that people carry, and he was a 17-year-old boy, you know, like he had his whole life ahead of him.
Everyone.
Hello.
And thank you for coming out today, and sharing this time with us, so that we could commemorate and honor the life of Trayvon Martin, who was a 17-year-old who was killed because he was deemed suspicious in an all-white gated community in Florida. Much today, as we are celebrating and commemorating the life of Trayvon Martin and his assault because of him being deemed suspicious, I just wanted to think about, along with his life, police brutality, and a lot of us who may seem suspicious.
So when I first heard about the Trayvon Martin case, or the death of Trayvon Martin, I was very confused on why Zimmerman, the person who killed him, was being protected by the law. And when I asked and found out that it was because in the state of Florida, people have, you know, the right to defend themselves if they feel threatened. That very much confused me.
Sad reality that a lot of people still possess many prejudice that affect the lives of everybody and have dangerous consequences.
But I stopped and thought about, you know, what other factors are in here? What really happened? What are all the facts? Because don't want to run and jump to conclusions where, you know, it's the, oh, we're crying wolf once again, or that type of thing.
Honestly, the Trayvon Martin murder doesn't surprise me. And the reasons why it doesn't surprise me is because as a student of color and as a person of color in a predominantly white community, you see small snippets of racism or discrimination in every day.
When I first heard about the Trayvon Martin case, I was in complete shock. I didn't understand why now in the year of 2012 we're still having trouble with crime and murders of innocent people. And I couldn't help but think, when I first heard this case, I couldn't help but think that it was racially charged.
I want to say appalled, but I also felt this like, okay, that would happen. And it made me, I mean, basically I just felt really sad and really helpless.
I am not Trayvon Martin. As a white person, it is imperative that I recognize that I am not Trayvon Martin, and I will never be. I am here to stand in solidarity with the incomprehensibly high number of people of color who are killed every single day, to stand in solidarity with my friends who have to worry about being a target of police brutality the instant they leave their houses. It is critical, terrifying but critical, that as white people, we recognize how we are more like George Zimmerman than Trayvon Martin.
It's horrifying, and it's, to me, very clearly a race issue, simply because if Trayvon were white, he'd be alive today.
I first heard about it sort of like a debate controversy between people talking about whether it was actually self-defense or whether it was racially charged, and when I looked more into it, I realized that there's no way that it couldn't have been a racially charged action.
Initial reaction, I was like, wow, like how can you shoot like an unknown person for no reason? Like clearly he was innocent. All he had on him was candy and tea, and obviously that is in a hoodie, and that apparently is suspicious enough for his life to be taken away from him unnecessarily.
And it happens way too often.
Actually my first reaction was probably like, this again, you know, like
placing it in the context of course, like 1,000 other events like it that have happened, and then feeling really sad about Trayvon as an individual.
I think it's absolutely terrible what happened to Trayvon Martin. I feel that our society as a whole is going downhill. I think it's awful, like, the color of my skin is not a crime, and so I can't be black in the nighttime, I can't be black in the daytime, so I just feel like my own country where I was born in does not accept me.
It's a racist thing again. Then I thought about it, like, the institution, the government kind of implements these laws where it's okay to kill someone because of self-defense. But Zimmerman's case was, he was not defending himself necessarily. He was approaching someone looking to harm them. So in what sense is that self-defense?
Really devastating and really sad, and like a showcase of like regular kind of brutality and violence against people of color.
It's happening right now. There's been 30 cases of police brutality, of murders by police since January, in a very similar manner, that aren't getting the press, that aren't getting the attention that they deserve. So it's all up to us. We are the only ones who can stop this.
Read off the names of 30 people who have, all over the nation, different locations, who have been murdered by the police since January. Donald Johnson, Dwayne Brown, Angelo Clark, Stephen Rodriguez, Christopher Kassan, Antwain White, Stephen Watts, Ramarley Graham, Manuel Loggins. Johnny Kahami Warren, Trayvon Martin, Raymond Allen, Justin Sipp, Dante Price, Melvin Lawhorn, Bo Morrison, Nahimia Dillard, Daryl Berry, Wendell Allen, Michael Lembar, Marquez Smart, Jersey Green, Sharice Francis, Robert Dumas Jr., and Kendrick Lavelle McDade. These stories are very diverse, but most of them are pretty tragic and have to do with police brutality faced by people of color in this country.
Have you ever felt targeted by the police?
Yes, I have. Instances back in New York City, times here, and even Saratoga Springs, where I've actually been racially profiled and stopped.
I personally have never been stopped by like NYPD police for any reason.
You know about stop and frisk in New York City and cities around the nation?
Absolutely. Being born and raised in New York City, I know about that very, very well.
Do you know about the stop and frisk policy in New York City?
It's sad because I'm from New York City and I vaguely have heard about it.
It was about over 87% of like stop and frisk happened to be either young black and Latino males, teens up until about late 20s. And pretty much out of all of those, maybe a very small fractional percentage number where some of them were doing something wrong, very, very tiny.
Just a little information. According to statistics released by the NYPD themselves, last year in 2011, about 684,000 people were stopped. And of that number of people, 87% of them were Black and Latino. So white people are definitely stopped as well, but not nearly at the same rate that Black and Latino people are stopped in New York City.
Wow.